I wonder, would it be a stretch to say that most people who like Dark Souls also at some point in their life really liked watching anime or have at least watched a couple animes? And if you watch animes, isn't it kind of natural that you're going to fall in love with the kind of main weapon that came out of Japan, the katana? And if you love katanas, wouldn't it be natural that you loved them in the Dark Souls series when you played it ever since Demon Souls or whenever you picked up the series? And if you loved katanas in those games, weren't you happy that From Software always made them really good and just basically able to do anything that you want, be agile, do high damage, do all that stuff? Well, that's how I felt when I saw this weapon. The Onikiri and Ubadachi was really a cool concept. They took katana to the next level. I've always been a fan of katanas in the Demon Souls and Dark Souls series ever since, 2009 when the game first hit North America. They've always been good weapons. They've always been weapons that you can use with great versatility. They're very diverse. They can adapt to a lot of play styles. You can use them on virtually any build given their low requirements. I've talked about these advantages in an actual katana video that I made a while ago, actually linking the weapon art to Kenshin's Hiten Mitsurugi style special attack, basically. So I'll link it in the description or somewhere in the video. I don't know. Just click a button somewhere, whatever pops up on the screen, and you'll see it. Nonetheless, though, like I said, when I saw this weapon, I was really excited. However, it wasn't actually that good of a weapon when the game came out, if you ask me. And I know people will differ on opinion with this, and I guess that's why I'm different. I guess I don't share the same opinions as many other, I guess they could say, top tier players in the game, or whatever the general consensus is. I like to form my own opinions. I don't really watch other people's videos. And you may say that that's ignorance, but I just like to flesh things out myself, find what works for me and my play style, and I'll make a video to share my thoughts. And if you don't like it, no problem. I mean, I respect your opinion, but hopefully I can make a difference and add some diversity and new, fresh opinions to the game. That's my kind of stance on things. Regardless, though, I do know that they buffed this weapon in the latest patch that came out, patch 1.08. There has been a few things that are quite noticeable with the weapon. The main thing I've noticed is that the weapon art has become 100 times better. It's virtually unpunishable, it seems, at this point. It's able to stagger people out of attacks a lot more frequently. And I learned the hard way after doing a video outlining the Lothric Greatsword, where I was actually hit out of my R1 attack like probably halfway through the animation. Somehow the special attack from this weapon actually knocked me out of the hyper armor. It doesn't always do that. I thought it did, but there was definitely some people that I jumped at who initiated an attack, and yeah, it ended up trading with me or actually knocking me to the ground in some cases. So it does seem random to me, at least right now. I might need to do more testing. But it's still a decent weapon. I do fight a good number of ultra great weapons in this montage, I guess you can call it. And we do come out on top. Now, I did fight, I think there's 14 matches or 15 matches in this clip. And I think we fought like 17 or 18, maybe 19. I think from what I know I lost 2 matches to parries because when I was first starting to use this weapon, the L1, and something you have to be really careful of, is easily telegraphed when you're starting up the animation for it. So you have to kind of play a little bit more of that chess game with your opponent. There's actually some clips where I actually get parried. And as you can see, a lot of people that I'm fighting actually have that shield in their offhand trying to parry me, or trying to at least put that fear factor in the back of my head that, oh, I have this weapon, I'm going to parry you. So just be a little bit careful with that. I did lose 2 matches to parries. I lost 1 match kind of like to lag, and just it was a really close match. I just, we ended up trading pokes, and then, for some reason I just ended up getting hit from far away, and yeah, that's Dark Souls. But I accept that. I'm sure that I won a few matches in this clip from lag as well. But one thing I did learn with this weapon is it's very good at roll catching. So punishing people's rolls and stuff like that. Kind of like what I just did right there, where I rolled incorrectly and I was punished for it by that Black Knight Greatsword. It's really good to catch rolls with the L1. The weapon art there, I got lucky and actually hit him out of his attack and ended up doing a ton of damage to him. And just so you guys know, I am using this sword on a quality build. I'm not using it on a luck build at all. And I'm just infusing it with Karthus Rouge. I don't know why. I don't even have it infused with anything. I just have it a plain old weapon. 40 strength, 40 dex, and just seeing what I can do with it. The bleed damage with this weapon is actually quite good, even on a quality build, because you're still doing around 75, more or less, bleed damage. with the buff for the Carthus Rouge. And the weapon art, if it connects, it's probably going to end up doing 50 to 75% bleed buildup on somebody, and it only takes a few pokes to finish them off. Being a katana, it still has a few really good moves that the katanas usually have in every Dark Souls game, that being the running R1, and I know a lot of people will probably hate on that, saying, oh, it's such a noob tactic. No, because it does require proper spacing, it does require proper timing, so that you don't get traded out, because the running R1 actually doesn't do a lot of damage, but what it is it's very quick, and it's very easy to catch opponents out, get them before they roll. It is easy to parry, so you do have to be careful of that, of course. So it's not really that overpowered, it's just people just get hit by it because they don't know how to space it properly, or they don't time their parries properly. So it is not a hard move to beat, but it is still very good because it is fast and agile. If you do end up landing an L1 combo, as you see me do there, it's going to do some massive damage. Right here I slowed down the clip because I totally didn't expect to get hit there, so I didn't roll. I was aware that he was swinging, but I just thought I would, for some reason, just stand around, and yeah, I got hit. Thanks, Dark Souls netcode. I guess that happens from time to time. But there you can see the weapon art is really good to kind of go in and contest other enemy attacks. It is sometimes hard to time, but you can see right there that epic lag, and that's kind of made me leave this Fight Club after that. I'm not going to deal with that lag. But for the most part, I mean, the weapon, it has really good recovery on pretty much all of its moves. The one weakness I would say is how telegraphed the L1 is. Like I mentioned earlier, it is easy to parry. The standard R1, probably not the best because it's like a one-handed katana, which isn't all that great. It's still decent, and it's hard to say because when you go for punishes on backstabs, you're going to do the R1, obviously. And when it doesn't come out, you're just going to do a normal R1 swing. And it's still good. It still builds some basic bleed damage, but obviously if you connect with the L1 combo, you're going to be doing a ton more damage. So what I would recommend, because I do make that mistake sometimes in this video where I try to go for a backstab, is instead of actually going for the backstab, just go for the L1 combo. If you know you're going to punish somebody, because there was, I think, twice where I ended up hitting somebody with R1 instead of getting a backstab on them, just go for the L1 combo. You're going to hit them 4 times, you're going to do a ton of damage and a ton of bleed damage to them as well. So quick tip, don't even bother going for backstabs. Just do L1 combos for punishes. It's way more effective. Aside from that, general weapon matchups, being a smaller weapon, you do have to play more agile, more reactive with smaller weapons. You don't have the luxury of having hyper armor and forcing trades as much. With that said, it being a quick weapon, you can definitely go in and out for pokes. Look at this. There was one attempt where I missed the backstab and totally failed and ended up just coming up with a 1R1. This guy, though, was a little funny. Check this out. Yeah, I see him parry, and then, okay, that triple parry spam, let's go. All right. And then, again, really telegraphed L1, and, just spamming out the parry, and luckily I was to the side of him, so he couldn't parry me. Again, missing the backstab. If I just would have went with an L1 combo, I would have ended up killing him, but now I get punished. And then for some reason, the camera readjusted. I meant to actually roll back, but I ended up rolling towards him. But it is what it is. There we ended up connecting with the weapon art, and he's pretty much dead at this point. We just start spamming out the throwing knives. The one downside of this weapon is definitely its damage output. Being a weapon that can combo with the L1s, the 4-hit combo, has a good bleeding inflicting weapon art, I guess you can say. It's definitely a weapon you want to focus on the bleed damage for. Don't get me wrong, the combo damage is still really good, but I think personally against good players, it's going to be a lot harder to land this combo damage than it normally would be. Like I said, I think I lost like maybe 3, maybe 4 matches. I know I lost 2 to 2 parries and 1 to a laggy match. I think I may have lost 1 more, I don't even remember. But we won about 15. And I was actually kind of salty at the end of using this weapon because I think I could have done much better. I do think it's probably a weapon that takes practice to get good with, and I can see somebody who uses this weapon exclusively being really good with it. I remember I invaded this one guy who was using it, and he was absolutely amazing with it. He ended up beating me. I mean, it was an invasion, but I can tell like he was. I give props. I don't remember his name, but the way he used the weapon, he used it with a shield, but he would like constantly switch out the weapon between the shield and the dual wielding of the weapon. and he was really, really good with it. And I can see how people can think that this weapon is really good, but I do think that it takes a lot of practice and a certain type of player to be good with it. Like I mentioned earlier, since it is a smaller weapon, you do have to be reactive. You have to kind of fear the parry. You have to fear the hyper armor trades. But like I said, it's good at roll catching. That's one of its major strengths. The weapon art is really good to whip out really unexpectedly, or people think they can contest it, or you're punishing an attack that's misspaced, something like that. The weapon art, as you've seen me do in this video, very, very good for that as well. The other thing is that it doesn't weigh that much. You can actually wear a lot of heavy armor. As a result, you can have... I know I mentioned that armor isn't really the most important, but you can have a decent amount of defense, and as a result, take a good amount of hits. And of course, the main thing with this weapon is that if you can land that L1 combo, it just puts so much pressure on the opponent, and I think that's where the real strength of this weapon lies, is that the combo does definitely do a lot of damage, despite the weapon poking here and there, not for not that much damage, but the combo itself does a lot, plus the bleed buildup, and I think that's why it's conceived as a top tier weapon. But in actual testing, I don't lose to this weapon all that much. Like the one guy I mentioned that invaded me that one time and beat me, that I invaded and he beat me. Like I can see why like a player like that with this weapon could be feared, but again, a player like that was probably just good at the game. And there I slowed that clip down again as well. How did I not get punished there with that rolling R1? The sword literally connected to me before I landed. How did I not get hit there? I don't understand what they've done with this weapon art. The recovery time on it is absolutely insane. You can like basically roll out of everything unless an opponent already knows that you're kind of like mid-air, and then they're gonna, throw out their attack before you land. But like that guy even did that, and I still didn't get hit. So I don't know. Maybe it was just some latency. I don't know. But the weapon art is definitely a lot better now than it was before. But again, if you're good at baiting parries, if you're good at playing that kind of chess game with your opponent, if you're really agile, you can definitely win out with this weapon. And I do think I have a little bit of that old Katana mindset, because I am going in for the running R1s, probably a little more than you would normally use with this weapon. But that's just because the running R1s with Katanas are so good. The two-handed version is obviously a little bit better than the one-handed version, but the one-handed version still very good for chasing down opponents, keeping them on the front foot. With an ultra greatsword, you do obviously run the risk of getting traded out, and a poke with a katana isn't going to do that much damage. So just be wary of that. Here, I knew that I kind of was going to get him, and he was fishing for the trades. So once I saw that, as you can see, the play style against ultra weapons is you try to bait them out because they're aggressive to punish you. But once I rolled in, I knew if I comboed him with an L1, I probably would have killed him. So that's what I did, and we traded, and I still came out on top to kill him. This matchup against the axe, there you can see I was, I think, knocked out of my attack. So don't know, it was pretty much landing, and the axe still hit me out of it. But nonetheless, for some reason his axe doesn't do a lot of damage, and we are able to bleed him right there and do a ton of damage. So we pretty much have this one. The running L1 attack, which is actually like the double or the triple stab, whatever it is, it's actually, like in my opinion, pretty terrible. It's only good in that one situation that you just saw where you can actually mix up the timing, because when somebody's used to parrying the running R1, or if you see them trying to parry it, the L1 actually has a bit of a different timing to it. So you saw that I actually evaded 2 parries in that last match by doing the L1, and I didn't even mean to do it. It's just I'm not used to this weapon yet. It's like really my first time going back to it since the beginning of the game, and I didn't really use it that much. But I would avoid using the running L1 unless you specifically want to try to mix up the timing for baiting a parry, but that's just me. The running R1 is definitely the better poke, and it's more consistent and has a better hitbox if you ask me. So, but there you can see the L1 combo damage. I'm sure if you're watching this video, you already know how good it can be, but half the person's health already, then we finish them off with that weapon art. Now, something to note with the weapon art you saw in that last fight, if you're actually jumping at them and punishing them from an attack, if the initial jump hits them and they're staggered back a bit, they're actually stuck in that animation, and they're going to take the full force of your jumping attack or your weapon art, the L2. It's absolutely insane, and there's no escape to it. And I know that you can combo after it with another L1. Again, I'm just not used to that, so I do know I make that mistake in this video countless times. And now that I think back to it, I probably lost like one of those 3 matches that I lost because of that. I totally forgot that after the weapon art, you can actually follow up with an L1. So if you are going to use these weapons, just remember that, and you'll actually be a lot more effective. And on a bleed build, I mean, if you land that weapon art and combo with the L1, you're probably going to end up bleeding somebody right away. So that's why these weapons can definitely be good, but like I said, it's going to take practice because their weaknesses, you know, just being spaced out, having a weapon art that's a little, not a weapon art, sorry, the L1, which is the main thing that you're going to try to fish damage out from, is a little bit slower, is a little bit easier to see. And other enemies are going to be able to start up attacks on it and, you know, counter it before it even comes out because the Katana doesn't have any hyper armor, right? So you got to be a little bit careful with it. But again, if you're agile, if you're good with katanas, if you practice with this weapon, you learn enemy movements, I guess you could say. It's definitely a weapon you want to be more reactive with. So it's basically a counter to my normal playstyle or my like super aggressive Lothric ultra great sword kind of playstyle. And that's probably why I'm not using these weapons as efficiently as they could be used. But they are still a decent weapon, don't get me wrong. I'm not hating on them, and I can see why people think they're good. But yeah, that is the video, guys. Let me know what you think. Hopefully you enjoyed those PvP matches. I did do this at the request of, I think it was Hassan and some other people who requested me to review these weapons. But yeah, let me know what else you guys want to see. I still got a few more coming, guys. I know that I haven't been uploading as much as late. It's just because my schedule has been so crammed, with just jam-packed with stuff. But I hope to be uploading stuff in this next week a lot more frequently, hopefully. So let me know what you think, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate the support. Love you guys. Quantum is out.